Good morning, guys. I'm going to go over the homework examples that you asked me to go over. Most of you were pretty silent. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, when I looked at some of your homework, some of you had it, some of you didn't. Okay, there was a question on the April 1st homework for number 5, and then someone said they wanted them all explained. So I'm just going to go through all the homework. Basically, okay, you're going to be factoring when you're doing these, and I know that, is a hard point for everyone, but guys, are going to have to do it. So, and they're pretty basic. So what you're trying to do with the first one is you're just trying to solve for cosine x. Normally we'd solve for of x, now it's just cosine of x. So of course, think of this as if it looked like this. Okay, you want to get x squared alone. First, you're going to move the 3 over. Same thing here, guys. You're just solving it using your basic math principles. Okay, I still didn't get cosine alone. There's a 4 there, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So 3/4. All right, then it's still squared, so I'm going to square root both sides. So I'm going to be left with the cosine of x is equal to, when I square root, let me see if I can make this a little crisper. Maybe just zone in a little more. There you go. When you square a fraction, all right, wait, let it unfuzz itself. There you go. When you square a fraction, you're squaring the numerator and the denominator. Square root of 3 is just square root of 3, but the square root of 4 is 2. So there we go. So now we have to find angles whose cosine is radical 3 over 2. Remember, cosine is positive here and here. Okay, so what angle has a cosine of radical 3 over 2? It's pi over 6. And in this quadrant, it is 11 pi over 6. And at this point, you should be able to find your angles in your quadrants. Okay, if not, have your unit circle with you. I don't know what else to tell you. This stuff at this point should be coming a lot easier. Okay, the cosine of a 30-degree angle is radical 3 over 2, and that's your 30-degree angle. Okay, so the next one, all right, if I look at this, okay, I see that both these terms, this is a term separated by another term. Again, you should recognize this on your own at this point of your mathematical career. You can take a sign out of both of them. I factor out using a GCF. When I divide out the sign there, I'm left with 1 minus this, I'm left with 2 cosine, because I took out the sign, equals 0. We know when we factor, okay, we said each one of our factors equal to 0, so it's the sine of x equals 0. It's 1 minus 2 cosine x equals 0. Okay, who has a sine of 0? We know that's going to be one of our quadrantals, okay? It's going to be a 0-degree angle to the right and pi. Okay, and again, just have your unit circle, have your little index cards with you. When I finish solving this, I'm left with negative 2 cosine x equals negative 1 divided by 2. Cosine of x is negative 1 divided by negative 2 is 1/2. So who has a cosine of 1/2? Okay, and again, we're still positive, so we're here and here. And x is going to be pi over 3. And this is going to be 5 pi over 3. Oops, sorry, I was out of the frame. Okay. Again, we're going to set equal to 0. So we're going to bring this over. Cosine cubed x minus cosine x. They're not like terms. Guys, think of it in terms of this. Think of it as x cubed equals x. You don't combine those. They're not like terms. I'm going to factor out a cosine. And I'm left with cosine squared x minus 1 equals 0. All right, when I set this up, this is going to be the cosine of x equals 0. So x is going to be pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Okay, those are the two angles whose cosine is 0. Excuse me. Here, I'm going to run out of room. Cosine squared x equals 1. I have to square both sides. Be careful when you square, it's going to be plus or minus. Oh my goodness, go back to the first problem. I just realized I square rooted. I didn't do plus and minus. Okay, so these are the positive answers. We need the negative answers also. Oh my goodness, this is because I'm only on 1 cup of coffee so far. So not only is it here and here, but it's here and here also. We need the negative. So it's going to be also, let's add 5 pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6. I am so sorry. I hope some of you guys caught that and said, what is Mrs. Obdyke doing? All right, come back. Square root. I hope I did that correct in the homework. This is plus and minus, so the cosine of x is a positive and negative 1. Okay, where do we find that? We find that at 0 and pi. And if you wrote 2 pi instead of 0, that's fine. Okay, but we know that the cosine is 1 to the right and to the left. Okay, this one here, I think I copied wrong. Is it equal 0? Did I forget the equal 0 part? Maybe. All right, guys, this is a quadratic. In your head, or on paper, for that matter, rewrite it. 2x squared minus x minus 3 equals 0. That's it. Use my trick to factor it, or use whatever way you like to factor it. We've done this trick so often. I told you in the get-go it was important to learn. Okay, hopefully you did. 2 numbers that multiply to give me 6, subtract to give me 1, negative 3, positive 2. Bring the 2 back in. This is divisible by 2, so this becomes x plus 1. This isn't, so we just give it the 2 in front. These are the 2 factors. So now let's bring this back into the problem. This is 2 sine x minus 3, and this is sine x plus 1 equals 0. Set both of these equal to 0. This is going to be 2 sine x equals 3. Sine x equals 3 over 2, which is over 1, so we reject it. It's 1.5. It can't be greater than 1. We discussed that. Sine and cosine cannot be greater than 1. Sine x plus 1 equals 0. Sine x equals negative 1. X is going to be 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 has a sign of negative 1. Excuse me. Okay, the last question, okay, is the cosecant. Okay, just do everything as cosecant, and at the end, change your answer. You're just going to factor this. It's a quadratic. In your head, this is x squared minus x minus 2. That's all that is. Only instead of x, it says cosecant x. Cosecant x. Let's see, 2 numbers that multiply to give me 2 and subtract to give me 1 is 2 and 1. We're going to set them both equal to 0. Cosecant x minus 2 equals 0. Cosecant x equals 2. Cosecant x plus 1 equals 0. Cosecant x equals negative 1. Now, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. We need to flip this. If I flip 2, I get 1/2. Well, who has a sign of 1/2? It's pi over 6, and it is 5 pi over 6. You had to then flip it. Who has a sign? If I flip this, it's just still going to be negative 1. Of negative 1, it's 3 pi over 2. Okay, so that's the April 1st homework questions answered. Okay, I hope I helped explain it to those of you who needed it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the week off. Just review these problems. When we come back, we have 1 week to the end of the marking period. We will have another major assessment on solving these equations. So, over the break, if you want to review, if not, relax. I know it's been a stressful 3 weeks for you guys. I miss you all, you know that. Just take it easy, okay, and we will get through this together. Enjoy the holiday, whatever you're celebrating with your family. Be good to your family. It's not an easy situation. I miss you guys, and I hope this helped. If you need anything over the break, and just a remind text away, an email, just let me know. Okay, love you guys. Enjoy. Bye. Happy spring break.